Washington State, a place with some of the most world-class mountain bike trails, huge mountain ranges and forests for picturesque descents, and famous trail systems, a place I'm lucky to call home. I've ridden all over the state to some of the most well-known and also lesser-known trail systems deep within the forest of the Pacific Northwest. However, it's been a long journey of progression, constantly scouting new lines I didn't think were possible a year ago, and pushing my own limits. I couldn't have done any of this progression and skill building without the trail bike I've had for the past 2 years, and that's this beauty right here, the Norco Sight Carbon. The Norco Sight has been my go-to trail bike for over 2 years now, and I've upgraded several parts on it throughout its life. Today, we'll go through how my bike has performed on all types of trails, the upgrades, and how my thoughts have changed with owning this bike for a while now. If you haven't watched my original review, I've linked that in the description. It'll be cool to see how my thoughts have changed over time with having ridden more trails, more places, and more different bikes. We'll start with the current components on my Sight, and then go for a ride at Duthie since it's been a while. The Sight is Norco's all-mountain bike, with a 160 fork and 150 shock, sandwiched between the Optic, a 140/125 trail bike, and the Range, a 170mm enduro bike. The Sight comes in both 29 and 27.5 wheel options. My 2021 Norco Sight has a deep purple carbon sight frame, which makes for some beautiful shots. This model has been a reliable bike for several years, and I'm excited to see how Norco changes it up for the next generation. The 160 fork is a Fox 36 factory, the same as when I got this bike. I have no complaints about the performance of the fork. With the way that I ride, it's been plenty for plowing through chunky trails and still landing big jumps with ease. I had this rebuilt last year by the Shock House, and it's still feeling dialed. My shock is a Fox Float X2, and this is where I've started to notice some problems. Fox has had some bad issues with these blowing up, mine included. This is nothing against Norco, it's purely on Fox, the manufacturer. I sent my old shock, the one that came stock on the bike, into Fox to get rebuilt, and they sent me a brand new 2024 X2. I've only had this new shock for a few months, but it just feels more stable and plush across the board. The real test will be riding Snoqualmie and Whistler this upcoming summer, to put the shock through a tad more abuse than pedal access trail systems. The main upgrade I did to this bike is in the shifting, and I have an entire video reviewing my new setup that's linked below if you want more details, but I decided to test out the new SRAM XO Eagle transmission when it was released. My opinion on this setup has only gotten better. The first thing I love is the extended gear range, which is significantly larger than my previous XO1 Eagle. It gives the same range as a 2x11 drivetrain, just way lighter, way more reliable, and way more crisp through all the shifting. The second thing is my ability to shift under load. Despite all previous words from everybody ever that told you to never put stress on the drivetrain, I encourage you to shift under load here. The performance is arguably better under load than without. The third main reason I consider this upgrade a success is both the durability and reliability. There are countless videos across the internet that show people standing on their derailleur without even bending it. Since the element of having a hanger is eliminated with the direct mount to the frame, it tends to sustain its shape after a crash, increasing reliability. Since installing the transmission, I've experimented with the SRAM Axis app, and I won't get into it today, but there's a lot of cool features built into that as well. Moving on to my brakes, I still have the SRAM Code RSC 4-piston brakes that came stock when I got this bike. Aside from replacing brake pads a few times and bleeding them occasionally, I've had no abnormal problems happen. They handle bike park very well with strong modulation, especially on large jump trails where slight speed changes can change your path. I have a 200mm rotor in the front and 180 in the rear for some good stopping power, another thing I have zero complaints about. Taking a look at my wheels, the rims have stayed the same while many tires have been cycled through. I started with a dissector tire in the back for a mix between grip and speed, but switched to the Aggressor last year. After riding this tire on long climbs, at bike parks, and high alpine single track, my riding style prefers the Aggressor, and it's something I'll stick to well into the future. My front tires remained as an Assegai for better grip overall. The wheels are DT Swiss XM 1700s, and I've put these through a beating. These rims are very durable and have mostly stayed true. I bent a section of my rear wheel at Whistler last summer, and although it looks bad, it doesn't seem to impact my bike's performance. The rest of my bike has remained pretty much the same. My cockpit still consists of loam grips, although I switched to the XL versions as my hands seem to prefer it. I still have the E13 bars and PNW loam lever attached to a Rainier dropper. The dropper's had zero issues and is one of the most reliable things on my entire bike. Hopefully that gave you some good updates to my bike and the upgrades I've made. Now let's get out to Duthie to do some riding. Alright, so for those of you guys that don't know, when this is being filmed is 2 days after we had a really cold spell here. Everything turned to ice. It was like 15 degrees, dropped even probably below 10 most nights. It was gnarly. So I think the trails have recovered a bit. Should be pretty good, but it is definitely a cold week up here at Duthie. The trails were way worse than I could have ever imagined. Just check this out.
Okay.
See, now it looks like all the ice though is mixed, like it looks like it's mud now. I guess it's fine.
We're not like destroying it though, are we?
No, we're not destroying it. Right there is not breaking up.
Oh, already sliding. Gotta land this straight. Oh, that's muddy. This part's really sketchy. Whoa. Ah. Oh, that's a rut. Oh, don't slide, don't slide. There we go. Ah. I think it's safe to say this was a horrible idea. I came back a few weeks later once the temperatures have gotten back to normal. So this was here, and now it's... It's so funny with someone standing on there for scale.
I almost left that just for fun.
This trail is going to be so epic when it opens. I'm liking all the progress and it's looking super awesome. Let's give Semper a go without a sheet of ice on top. Whoa. That is running really nicely. Much better, and exactly the type of trail my bike shines on. The Aggressor tire really helps me take advantage of maximizing speed, and I've always loved how this bike handles jumps. It's not too much bike for these types of trails either, and it's been one of my favorites in this category since the day I got it. I also have my suspension far on the side of stiff with fast rebound, so I get the pop off most of the lips. Let's try Flying Squirrel, a double black jump trail with some fun corners and larger jumps. Alright, so a few jumps on this changed. Number 1 got shorter, number 4 is completely new, so that's always a fun one. That one's new, pretty fun. And then this is the same as it's been. Still awesome though. Another really fun trail. Something else my bike performs well on is the corners, in part due to the smaller 27.5 wheel size, but also simply geometry. A trail like Rehab is so much fun on my site. Many people disagree with me here, but since I ride with a fairly aggressive body position, I'm able to act as a driver of this bike through corners rather than a passenger. It maintains its stability when pushing into corners, and that's something I really like. Finally, I'm going to ride 12-step, a much more technical jump trail with steep lips. Although the site is a bit much for this trail, it's just too much fun to pass up. Alright, this one will be good, I think.
go. Sick.
That was running great, and I'm so stoked I was able to get these epic conditions at this point in the season. I haven't gotten a chance to ride much tech recently, but I want to finish with talking about how my bike has been outside of the jumps. Yes, there are better bikes for racing and plowing through super chunky trails, but the Sight has performed well above expectations in this category, and when it comes to single track descents at fast speeds, I can't think of a better bike to have for the task. It's been a reliable choice for me when riding places like Whistler, Sun Peaks, Snoqualmie, Tiger, the list goes on. Needless to say, I'm very happy with the choice I made to pick the Norco Sight, and I don't see my opinion changing on that anytime soon. That's all for today, and thanks for watching. I'll see you all next time.